People who know me in my real life know that I have quite an obsession with ThinkPads. But honestly, the ThinkPad is the perfect laptop by far, with the perfect keyboard, the perfect build quality, the reliability, the port selection. It cannot be beat. You can't beat the ThinkPad. You know, so many people come to me all the time telling me how great their laptops are, like the MSI and Asus or the MacBook, and then like 2 years later they come back up to me whining about how their laptops are breaking. Meanwhile, my ThinkPads have been going strong for 20 plus years, some of them almost 30 plus years. You can't beat the ThinkPad. The ThinkPad is the perfect laptop. So what I'm going to be doing is going to be going through all my generations of ThinkPads from oldest to newest, a general overview of the specs and what I use these ThinkPads to work. Because believe it or not, yes, I use almost all these things on a monthly basis. I'm not going to say daily basis, but all these at least get powered on at least once a month. Yeah, I'm a mad lad. Anyway, without further delay, let's get into it. Alright, so first we're going to be looking at my ThinkPads from 1994 to 1996. This generation of ThinkPads has my favorite keyboard of all time. Just take a listen to this. Oh yeah, it's a clicky keyboard on a laptop. And dare I say it, it's better than the Model M. I've been looking for a ThinkPad with the best keyboard, and all three of these right here are potential candidates, because right now I'm writing a light novel and I need the optimal conditions to type stuff up. However, first we're going to be looking at the ThinkPad with the worst keyboard, which is 330C. This is my oldest ThinkPad. This one's from May of 1994, and it is a Japan exclusive. I already made a video talking about this, so just click on that just for more detail, but I'm just going to mention the things that I didn't mention in that video. So number one, the build quality. Oh man, the build quality in this is top tier. This is by far the best made ThinkPad I have ever seen. Nice, hard plastic. The hinges, almost no play on that at all. Absolutely solid. There is no sound on this ThinkPad, which is just such a deal breaker for me. The keyboard is not the best, and this is why I cannot recommend this ThinkPad. The specs is it has an Intel 46SX at 50 megahertz with 8 megabytes of RAM, 172 meg hard drive, and 256 active matrix display. I will say the display on this is one of the nicest I've ever seen on a laptop. Anyway, moving on to the ThinkPad 355. Oh yeah, a monochrome ThinkPad. Get a load of this. A blue IBM logo, the way it's meant to be. Alright, so this one has a 486 SL at 33 megahertz, has a 125 meg hard drive. This one only came with 3 megabytes of RAM. I upgraded to 36. And obviously has a monochrome display. Of all the ThinkPads here, this one is by far the weakest, but I will say, the build quality is almost on par with the 330C. So I'll just plug in this one. And while this one boots, I'm going to give you guys a little tour of this ThinkPad. So as for the lid itself, get a load of this. Nice, hard plastic. Just the way I like it. And this one has all the doors on it. You never find ThinkPads in this good condition with the doors still on them. It still has a door for the PCMC, and this thing weighs like a good 7 to 8 pounds. Like, it is heavy. Still has the door for all the I/O. Absolutely amazing. I bought this one recently. I took a gamble on it, and it paid off. I'm thinking about either installing Windows 3.1 or Windows 95 on it. Right now it's just currently running DOS 6.21. And now we're moving on to this one. This is the 755C from, I think it's May of 1995. This one features an Intel 46DX4 at 75 megahertz with 12 megabytes of RAM, a 540 meg hard drive, and a nice 256 color active matrix screen. Oh, this is one of my favorites. This is the ThinkPad that introduced me to this just perfect keyboard. It is amazing. This ThinkPad is almost perfect. However, there is one issue, and that is the lid. Unfortunately, with a lot of ThinkPads, IBM decided to make the lids out of rubber, and over time they get more brittle, they start to break down, and in heat they get really bad. Like you see in the corners right there, doesn't look very good, does it? It's definitely not the worst I've ever seen, but like, oh my god, it looks so bad in the light. This one is running Windows 3.1 with DOS 5. And I'll give you a little tour on the outside. This one, unfortunately, is missing the door for the PCMCA. On the back right here, this one still has the door for the I/O. And we got our auxiliary ports right there. I also have a hard drive that's running OS 2 Warp 3 on this, but I recommend Windows 3.1 because OS 2 doesn't have any sound drivers for this ThinkPad. What a shame. Moving on. I think the 365 XD came out in July of 1996. This one is by far the most powerful of all of these. I mean, obviously. Here we go. However, this one has one fatal flaw. Can you guess what it is? A passive matrix screen. No. Other than that, this might be, honestly, the perfect ThinkPad. It's got an optical drive, which is always very good. As well, I also have the proprietary IBM Floppy Drive. This is a must-have for this ThinkPad. This one's running Windows NT 4.0 Service Pack 6. And look at the lid. Look at the lid. Oh, the condition is so good. Almost nowhere on the IBM logo at all. It still has the door for the PCMCA. On the back, however, it's missing the door for the I/O. Damn it. And there's your auxiliary ports. One cool thing about this ThinkPad, you can actually lock the mouse buttons. For example, I hover over Internet Explorer, pull this down, and I can pull that without putting my hand on there. Pretty good, I must say. The specs for this, it has a Pentium 1 at 120 megahertz. I think it's either 100 or 120. It only has 16 megs of RAM though. And you definitely feel that when you're running Windows NT. I really have to upgrade this. It has a 1 gig hard drive, and as you know, it already has a passive matrix screen. One thing I really love about these ThinkPads is just how easy it is to upgrade the parts. So come back over here to the 355. Just excuse this. So we'll open it up. So the cool thing about these is you have two latches right here. Excuse my legs and the way that I'm filming this. I don't own a camera and I don't have a tripod either. Open it up and there you go. You can access floppy drive, battery, and hard drive. You would never, ever, ever see that on modern computers. Like literally this, everything's soldered on now and it's just so annoying. Now we have the next generation of ThinkPads. Let me introduce you to the 380 line of ThinkPads. If you're going to get into 90s ThinkPads, this is the generation I recommend that you get into. Case in point, the drives. The drives is what makes this objectively the best ThinkPad generation. Here we go. The CD floppy drive combo drive is a thing of beauty. You have no idea how unbelievably convenient this is when you're installing software, when you're installing operating systems. Oh yeah, it cannot be beat. The cool thing about the 380 XD is that I think it's the first ThinkPad that has a USB port, and that is so useful for transferring games, transferring drivers, any of that stuff. And this one is in pristine condition. Oh yes, so almost nowhere on the palm rest. The keyboard is immaculate. It's not as good as the previous generations of ThinkPads, but it's still pretty damn good. It feels just like a desktop keyboard. Oh my god, the display, amazing. No mouse trails at all. Full 32-bit color. It cannot be beat. Objectively, this is probably the best ThinkPad, best IBM ThinkPad ever made. It's running Windows 98 Second Edition, and I generally use this whenever I want to play DOS games. This is the perfect ThinkPad for DOS games. Has the best driver support, has good MIDI, it has anything anyone could ask for. I highly, highly recommend this one. Going to my left side is the black sheep of the 380s. This is the 380E. This one has a Pentium MX processor at 150 megahertz, 48 megs of RAM. However, the killer is not the passive matrix screen. No, 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 no. It has no CD drive. You know, for a laptop that came out in 1997, I understand it's a low-end one, as we see compared to this one, but like, ugh. However, me and this laptop go way, way back. This is the laptop I learned OS 2 on. You know, I like a little bit of variety in my life. I just don't want to use Windows every day. So I learned OS 2 on this laptop, and OS 2, what a wonderful operating system. Oh man. The cool thing about this one is that the polymer actually isn't made out of rubber, which is actually an advantage, because this one's made out of rubber, and the same thing, if you put your hand on here long enough, it's going to leave marks. So if we close the lids right here, you see that is the raised IBM logo. Not a big fan of raised IBM logos, because if you put these things in your bag, they're going to rub, and eventually these do wear out. Back right there, no USB port to be found. What a shame. I forgot to mention the specs for this one. This one has a MX processor at 233 megahertz with 64 megs of RAM. Pretty good, pretty solid, I gotta say. And moving on to the 385 CD. This one is running Windows 95 OSR2. And the cool thing about this laptop, the battery still works. And it gets like over an hour of charge too. Like, that is unbelievable. Like 80% remaining. My god. The specs for this one is pretty similar to the 380E, where it only has a 150 megahertz processor. This one only has 24 megs of RAM. However, it has an active matrix display. No mouse trails at all. Looks very nice. However, the only reason I own this one is because it was really, really cheap. There's tons of cracks. It's not in the best condition. And the CD drive is not the best, I'll say. However, if you want to play 90s games, if you want to delve into 90s software, the 380 line is a line that I recommend. Now we're in the 21st century. Let me introduce you to the Thinkpad T23. I actually have two of them. Alright, so the specs are Pentium 3 processor, 1.1 gigahertz, 256 megs of RAM, and I'm pretty sure both of these have like 10 gig hard drives. So this one is running OS 2 Warp version 4. The main use that I have for this laptop is anytime I want to use Warp 4, this is the laptop that I use. OS 2 Warp in general is really hard to virtualize, so it's just better on actual hardware. Warp 4 is one of my favorite operating systems of all time. It's way better than Windows 95, and I wish there was an actual good modern version of this. I would so use it every day, but ArcOS and Ecom Station just are not up to par. This one over here is running Windows 2000 Service Pack 4. I have a lot of plans for this laptop. I really want to install Windows Me on this laptop just to try it out, because I really haven't tried out Windows Me. You know, I've tried it on a virtual machine, and that was about it. The cool thing about the T23s is that they support so many operating systems. I think they even have drivers for Windows 3.1. So Windows 9X, Windows 2000, Windows XP, and OS 2. What more could you ask for? And over here we got the T43. I also have big plans for this one. I really, really want to install OS 2 on this, because other than that, the only operating systems that you really go with is like XP or 2000. Apparently, Warp 4.52 works on this, and I really, really want to try it out. I am so excited. This is the last official IBM computer that supported OS 2. So theoretically, it's the most powerful computer that can run OS 2 natively. That's pretty damn cool. So as for the physical aspects of these laptops, they're really, really damn good. The keyboard, one of the best. Cannot go wrong with this keyboard. And as for the ports, oh my god. Let's just get into it. You got your 3 auxiliary ports. Yes. PCMCIA. And on the back, this is where it gets really, really good. We got S-Video, serial, parallel, VGA, modem, Ethernet, 2 USB, and a PS2 mouse. I could not ask for more. And also you got hot swappable floppy and optical drives. Just pull that out and there you go. And this thing's really whining at me. Honestly, the only bad thing about these laptops, again, is the rubber lid. As you see, it doesn't look that bad, but again, they scratch really, really easily. As we all know, IBM doesn't make the ThinkPad anymore. Here are my Lenovo Thinkpads, and I got some pretty good ones to start off with. So here we go. The R60. Oh yeah, I used to consider this to be the best modern ThinkPad ever made. Everything about it, the keyboard, the display, the port selection. Oh man, this was a daily driver for a while. The specs are a Core 2 Duo, 2 GHz, 2 gigs of RAM, 100 gig hard drive, Windows XP, Service Pack 3. Perfection right there. The battery still works really well. Oh man, this is what you call a 10 out of 10 would bang laptop. Perfection right there. Then we move on to the T61. Another really good laptop. Highly, highly recommend. It's got a great keyboard. This one has a 16:9 aspect ratio screen though. This is when they went to widescreen. Now I got nothing against that, but I will say, watching some old shows on the R60, it's an experience that cannot be beat. Oh yeah. But great keyboard, great track point. This one's running Windows Vista Business 32-bit, Service Pack 2, 2 GHz in Core 2 Duo, 3 gigs of RAM. I should honestly have 64-bit Windows Vista on here, but I don't know what I was thinking at the time. Unfortunately, I have no use for this one anymore. I pretty much retired it. You know, I got the last ThinkPad I'm going to show can do everything that this ThinkPad can do, and better. And here's the one that I abuse. This is the T450S. It's the only really quote-unquote modern ThinkPad that I own. As you see, it has the modern chiclet keyboard. It's actually really, really fast. I don't remember the specs though. I don't really use this. So let's see. The specs goes as following. It's got an i5, 2.3 gigahertz, 8 gigs of RAM. The cool thing about this, it has a 480 gig SSD. That's pretty damn good, and it's running Windows 7 embedded POS ready, and that operating system is still supported until October. Windows 7, so good. But honestly, if I'm going somewhere really dirty or going somewhere outside where I gotta work, this is the laptop I bring. And regardless of what people say about the new ThinkPads, and I got quite a bit to say about the new ThinkPads, they are still very durable and reliable. Someone dropped a metal bed on this computer, and all that happened is it lost 2 keys. That is all that happened. If that happened to a MacBook, that MacBook would be dead. This one, yes, it lost 2 keys. That was it. No cracks anywhere. All I gotta do, replace the keyboard, and it's good as new. But I do have a couple critiques. I don't like chiclet keyboards. I don't like that they removed the pause buttons here, and I don't like that they removed the numpad as well. Now, not many people use those, but I use those. So it's a good laptop. Don't get me wrong. Very, very good. it's just not the ThinkPad for me. Last, but certainly not least, the ThinkPad that I consider to be the best modern ThinkPad ever made. We have here the W520. This thing is an absolute beast, and it embodies perfection. We got the perfect keyboard, the perfect display. The specs on this thing is absolutely insane, and it still holds up great in 2021. I can watch 2K video at 60 FPS like it's nothing. It's absolutely amazing. Every modern laptop should strive to be like the W520. Look at this. Look at how unbelievably sexy it is. Oh my god. It's a thing of beauty. To get further into the specs, this thing has an i7 at 2.4 gigahertz, 16 gigs of RAM, running Windows 8 embedded. It's the modern version that looks like Windows 7. It can't get any better than this. The only thing that can make this better is if I put an SSD into this laptop. And if I put an SSD into this laptop, oof, it would be the biggest beast of a laptop in the world. The only laptop that would even come close is the W701DS. This thing is actually obtainable. You can have this. And it is, oh my god. The only thing that sucks about this laptop, although there's two big speaker grills, they are very, very quiet. That's the only flaw. If you want to get any modern ThinkPad, this is the one to get. Anyway, that concludes this video. Though that is all my ThinkPads. In terms of any future ThinkPads I may consider getting, it's the ones you'd probably think, like the 701C, everyone wants that. Maybe a G40, maybe a Transnote, and of course any of the dual screen variants. But other than that, I'm quite satisfied with the ThinkPads that I have. I pretty much have everything that I really want. And the W520 will last me at least another 10 years. It's that damn good. Anyway, if anyone else has a bunch of ThinkPads like I do, I would love it if more people made videos about their ThinkPad collection. I love seeing what people have. Anyway, that concludes this video. More videos coming soon.